Hi, I'm Sally Kerr, and today I am here with Dr. Hotze, and we are going to talk about living in a toxic world. Dr. Hotze, you have embraced this entire idea of detox for many, many years, but our world is becoming even more and more toxic today as we breathe, eat, drink, and basically just live. If we buy a new house, if we buy a new car, we are exposed to more and more toxins. So let's talk about that, because you determined early on that toxins contribute to almost every disease process. In fact, that's why you started recommending vitamins and minerals to our guests over 20 years ago. Our bodies are really big detoxifying machines. It's what they're made to do. So what happened? What have we done to ourselves? Why are we having such a difficult time detoxing on our own?
Well, imagine this, Sally and listeners, traveling to the most remote areas in the world, traveling to Antarctica in the South Pole, or traveling up around the Arctic Circle, or in northern Canada, where it's completely in the wild, and you've got just lakes, and you've got fish, and there's people don't even live there. And even or imagine going on the northern coast of Alaska and visiting with the Eskimos there. And you think in these areas of the world, surely there's not going to be any pollutants. We know we've got pollution here in America and in all the industrialized countries, because we've got manufacturing plants that spew out stuff in the smoke, and we got the cars, and we've got all the additives in the foods, and the various beverages we drink have additives. So we know we're getting chemical exposure. But you think in these other areas of the world, it would be pristine. It'd be a place that we could retreat to if we wanted to get away from pollution. But guess what? There's no place in the world that has not been affected by the overproduction of these pollutants in our society, in our modern day society. Now, let's just say this. The pollutants come from products that we produce that have been very important to improve our standard of living. But there's a unintended consequence when we produce, for instance, the plastics that we make. They're ubiquitous. You know, our phones are made of plastic. Glasses have plastic in them. We've got plastic bottles. We have plastic bags. We have plastic containers. We got plastic, tennis shoes, rubber on the bottom. We've got plastic cups. We've got plastic lights. We've got plastic filters. We've got plastic everything. Cars are made of plastic. And they've been very beneficial, and they've enabled us to bring the cost of production down. But those production of those chemicals, those plastics, produce pollutants. And these pollutants go even to the remotest part of the earth, so that if we were to test the breast milk of Eskimo women, we would find the pollutants that we would find in a woman in an industrialized world. We would find those chemical pollutants in the breast milk. Even of people that live far away. If we study the animals that live up in the Arctic region, the polar bears, the fish that are up there, you can take their fat and you can find all the common chemicals that are found here in the United States, all the way up there into Canada. So there's no place on Earth that is free from pollutants. Once it gets up into the air, it doesn't just travel a few miles or 100 miles. It gets them into the currents, into the jet stream, and it travels all around the world. And of course, we're in an industrial age where there's tremendous amount of production, not only here in the United States, but all across the industrialized world, including China. And you can imagine the amount of byproducts from just the chemical processes that occur. And they get into the air, and that gets into the air, and it gets into the ocean, it gets into our waterways, it gets into the land, and the crops grow, and the crops contain these various chemicals and pollutants. And then when we eat those, we get them in our body and system. So if you think about the amount of pollutants that we're exposed to today compared to 150 years ago, we'd have to say we are swimming in a sea of pollutants, of chemicals. And the chemicals are everything from the chemicals that come from making the plastics. You got phthalates, you got bichloral, biphenyls, you got polyvinyl chloride, you got toluene, you got benzene. Benzene's a carcinogenic and produces leukemia in people. So people, if you live near refineries, you're getting all these toxins that are being spewed into the air, and are being passed into the waterways, and they get into our food supply, and there's no way around it. And when they get into our food supply, we end up ingesting those various products, and guess what? They have to go somewhere, and they go to the liver, and if they can't get detoxified properly, they end up in the cells of our bodies. And many of these chemicals, and the chemicals come from things we breathe in the air, chemicals that are in the air, chemicals that are in our beverages.
Right.
I mean, you think about all the diet drinks that have aspartame in it. That is a foreign chemical that never existed before in nature that causes neurotoxicity and a host of health problems. And then you've got all in your food products. And most people eat processed foods, and you know their food dyes.
Right.
There are different food stabilizers, food preservatives. All these are chemicals that are placed into our food products to make them last longer or taste better, but still they're foreign chemicals to the human body that never existed before in nature and have to be detoxified. Well, here's what causes, in the people in the chemical industry or in the plant industry, I mean, think about the fertilizers that they use, and think about the insecticides and the pesticides and the herbicides and the fungicides that are sprayed in our, in our homes and on our crops. Mm-hmm. These all get into the soil, and they get into the plants, and they get into the food products. As a matter of fact, in animals, they're sequestered in the fat. So if you eat meat that's marbled with fat, guess what? It's got all the toxins in it. And any time you have exposed bacon with hogs, you got all the toxins in the fat in the bacon. Okay, the bacon tastes great, but you're taking all these toxins in. And then we have the trans fatty acids we get from margarines and from fried foods, which clog up our cell membranes. We've got heavy metals. We've got mercury in our fillings. We've got, what else? We've got aluminum in the pots and pans.
Right.
We've got cadmium. We've got lead that used to be in the paint, but it's ubiquitous. We got lead in our system. And as a matter of fact, as studies have been done, and we test humans' fat that live in America and intracellular levels in the blood cells of these various chemicals, pesticides, and the various fertilizers, the various heavy metals. Guess what? In almost 100% of the people, we find that they have these pollutants within their cells and in their fat. So it becomes what we call a toxic load. Now, our body has a mechanism to detoxify, and it's in the liver. There's two phases, phase 1 and phase 2 of a detoxification process, where it takes these chemicals and it reacts with the chemicals and neutralizes them, and then they're passed either into the blood out through the urine, or else they get into the stool, and they're passed in the stool, and that's the way the body would excrete them. You have to have vitamins and minerals and nutrients to detoxify the toxins. By the way, the term toxin can be defined as poison. If you look up in the Webster Dictionary for the definition of toxin, it's poison. So when people are taking these toxins in their body, they're really being poisoned, and the body has a mechanism to detoxify or get rid of the poisons. And it requires vitamins and minerals and nutrients. And we're going to talk about some of the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients a little bit later that are helpful in maintaining a good detox program. And we're going to talk about why toxins are bad on your health in just a minute. But so we have this detox program. And if we don't have enough vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, because our soil has been depleted of vitamins, they pick the food early, they spray it with chemicals, so we have a tremendous toxic exposure. The land isn't put fallow for 1 out of every 7 years, so the nutrients are depleted out of the soil, so it's lacking the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that it needs. And the plants are picked early, so the vitamins don't set, and they let them, instead of ripening on the vine, they let them ripen in shipment. And you know the difference between, say for instance, a tomato you buy at the grocery store that's non-organic and one that you grow in your backyard, it tastes all the difference.
Right.
That's the vitamins and minerals that are located in when you pick it when it's fresh, rather than pick it when it's green and let it turn red in a truck driving from California here to the local grocery store. So you can taste the difference in real food, whole food, but because most Americans don't even eat whole food, they eat fast food, junk food. We call it junk food because it's junk. Right. It lacks vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. It's been processed, and it's unhealthy. We know that. It's junk food. It's the white breads. It's the pizzas, the pastas, the cakes, all the sweets and the carbohydrates we eat, which are rich or empty calories, we call them. They will put weight on you and give you some energy because there's pure sugar is what they are. That's all the starch is pure sugar. Sugar molecules hooked together. But they will not give you the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that your body needs, that your liver needs to detoxify the toxin load that you're being exposed to. Now, a little toxin load exposed at one time, the chemical companies are right and the food companies are right. It's not going to kill you. Right. It's the toxic load over time. It's like cigarette smoking. If you went out for the next 2 weeks and smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, it's not healthy for you, but if you only did that for 2 weeks and that's all you've done all your life, you're not going to have the adverse effects that somebody who smoked a pack of cigarette for 30 or 40 years is going to have. And so somebody could say, well, she smoked a cigarette, and that one cigarette won't kill her. It's not bad for you. No, one cigarette probably not going to kill you, not going to be bad for you. I don't recommend it, but I'm just saying if you smoked a cigarette, unless you had asthma, get away with it fine, it'd probably do okay. Never have any side effects. So the cigarette company could say, cigarettes don't cause you any problems. Look, she smoked a cigarette, it's doing fine. It's the long-term effect of exposing yourself to toxins, and as they build up in your cells, they cause your cells in your body and in your organs to become sick.